Hello guys, LEGO Mastery Reviews here, and today I'll be doing a review on the brand new 2026 LEGO Star Wars set 75437 Cobb Vanth Speeder. This set has 207 pieces and retails for $34.99 in the US. It includes two minifigures being Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane, and without further ado, let's jump right on into this review. The first minifigure we'll be taking a look at here is Cobb Vanth, and this is a minifigure I've been wanting LEGO to make since 2020, back when Season 2, Episode 1 of The Mandalorian aired. You can actually go back on my channel and see my custom LEGO minifigure showcase for Episode 1 of Season 2 way back in 2020, and I made a custom Cobb Vanth. To get this minifigure finally after all these years is just really surreal, and I think LEGO did a phenomenal job from head to toe. Starting with the helmet here, you can see that he has the newer rangefinder piece here that was introduced on Jango Fett last year, so that's really great to see, and obviously the helmet too just looks phenomenal with all the scuff marks. And for those of you wondering, it is a different print from the generic Boba Fett minifigure, but you can see the scuff marks do look incredible there. There's so many all around the helmet. Then of course you get some side helmet printing too. Even back there you can see a little scratch mark, and on the other side too, also some really great printing there. So overall, I think the helmet just looks phenomenal on this figure. But removing the helmet, you also get a really detailed face print too. Extremely accurate to Cobb Vanth. I think that just looks amazing there with kind of a smirk on one side. And flipping the head around, you can see there's a much more stern face. And also included is a hairpiece. And you can see on the other face print too how the hairpiece looks. So I think overall, the unmasked look for Cobb Vanth looks equally as great, and I really like that a lot. I think the torso printing looks phenomenal on this figure too. And no, it is not the same torso printing from Boba Fett. As you can see, it's a completely new print. But obviously, there are some similarities with the armor there, and obviously, just like the gray undersuit there. But of course, you also have the red shirt over, or not over, but underneath the armor there, as you can see. So you get a little bit of red printing right there, as well as some red printing on top there with the scarf. And of course, the actual printing of the armor looks great there with all the different scuff marks that are very accurate to how the scuff marks look on the show. So that's really great to see there. And of course, you also get the lights there, as well as the little logo right there. So overall, I think the torso printing does look phenomenal. And removing the head and jetpack included with the minifigure, you'll see they actually get a very detailed back torso print too, as well, with a bunch of different scuff marks, and obviously both the bits of red there. And then, of course, probably the most appealing or just best looking part of this figure has to be the arm printing here. I think it looks phenomenal there with obviously the mythosaur printed on the shoulder armor, as well as his gauntlet there with the rocket. Just looks so cool, and obviously it's very scuffed up, but you do get little bits of red there kind of throughout. And on the other side, you also get some amazing arm printing there with the shoulder armor, as well as the wire that goes down to the gauntlet too, so that looks great. And then he also has tan hands, which is very accurate to the show too. With like his gloves, obviously, so that looks really great. And of course, you also get an accessory being his revolver, which hasn't been seen on a LEGO Star Wars minifigure in quite some time, so it's really cool to finally see another minifigure get this accessory, and I think it is really accurate to how his blaster looks in the show. But then of course you also get some leg printing here too with his knee armor there, as well as his holster, and of course you also get some hip printing. And overall, I think LEGO just did a phenomenal job on this figure. Like from head to toe, he's just so accurate and so detailed, so I'm really blown away with this figure, and I don't think LEGO could have done a better job. Next up is Cad Bane, and this is another phenomenal minifigure for this set. And for those of you wondering, no, this is not the same Cad Bane figure from the Justifier. As you can see, this one's obviously just meant to resemble the Bad Batch appearance of him and the animation style of him. Obviously, this is supposed to resemble his live-action look from the Book of Boba Fett, so much kind of lighter blue color compared to this one. Obviously, the outfits are completely different, so brand new minifigure, and I think he looks phenomenal and just insanely accurate to his appearance in the Book of Boba Fett. He does have the same hat mold here, which looks great, and I believe it's only ever been used on Cad Bane, which makes sense because it just works perfectly. And you can see that the face printing also looks phenomenal on this figure with the much lighter blue color and still with those striking red eyes there. And removing the head, I'll show you a better look at this breathing apparatus piece, which is also the same from the other Cad Bane figure, but you can see it's kind of a rubbery texture, and you also can get a better look at that back torso print while this is off. And then you can see the torso printing is very detailed too, with kind of a shirt there as well as the jacket going over it, but you can see some wrinkles in the fabric there, as well as just the different little garments and pockets, as well as this little like ammo, I believe, like holster there. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I don't think it's a belt. I think this is his belt there. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that is what it's supposed to be. But of course, you also get his jacket going over that, and obviously continuing down to the legs, kind of covering the holsters there. But you can still see a little bit of that in the middle there, as well as his toe printing. And obviously, the best part of this figure has to be the arm printing here with those blue gauntlets there, as well as the tubing that goes up. But there's also some wrinkles in the fabric there, as well as a little bit of a line going down that. And the other side is pretty much identical, obviously just flipped. You can see once again, you get the nice blue gauntlet there, as well as the wiring and just the little bits of detail above that. And then you can see that he includes 2 blasters here, which is pretty accurate to the show as well. So overall, I think this is an amazing Cad Bane figure. I do kind of like this one a little bit more than the last one, just because of the arm printing, but I think the last one was a great minifigure as well. And overall, this is just another amazing inclusion in the set. I think LEGO did a perfect job with this figure as well. Overall, I think both these minifigures are extremely detailed and look phenomenal, but that being said, technically, Cobb Vanth is inaccurate because at this point in time when he's facing off against Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett, he'd already given the Boba Fett armor to the Mandalorian in the Mandalorian Season 2, so technically this is inaccurate, but I feel like most people, including me, would much rather have the Boba Fett armor version of Cobb Vanth compared to just like the red shirt that he was wearing in the scene. I do get why some people might be a little upset about that, and I do get why, like, obviously you want accuracy, but I do think this is one of those rare occasions where an inaccuracy is just better overall and just makes a better minifigure. But that's my opinion. I know you might disagree, I know a lot of people might disagree, but regardless, I think this figure still looks phenomenal, and overall, I think both the figures are just great. One other thing is that I do think for the $35 price point, there should have been another minifigure included, whether that just been like the Mandalorian figure, the Beskar one that we've seen in 1,000 sets. I think that would have been nice, or maybe getting the deputy that we see in the Book of Boba Fett, or Winkway. I think just there's a lot of figures that are kind of this like around Mos Pelgo that could have been really great to have gotten in this set, just to kind of throw in there, because again, the price tag is very high on the set, so I think one more minifigure, regardless of who it was, would have been nice to get. But that being said, Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane are both extremely high quality minifigures from head to toe. They just look phenomenal. So overall, blown away by these figures, even if technically Cobb Vanth is a little bit inaccurate. Taking a look at Cobb Vanth's speeder now, I think it looks phenomenal. And after seeing so many mocks throughout the years of this speeder, to finally have it be an actual set is so cool. And just the actual concept of a speeder bike that's made out of a pod racer engine, I think is so cool. And we'll start with the little section here that Cobb Vanth obviously sits down on and controls the speeder bike with. You can see there's a lot of like greebling techniques with all these different pieces here, and these can be adjusted if you want to do that. As you can see in these pieces on the back too, like the backrest here, can be moved as well, and the bottom piece here can also be moved if you want to do that as well. So I like all the different pieces being used there, as well as the pieces right here, of course. And you also, of course, have the handlebars using these little hinge pieces there, as well as these pieces, which means that you can't technically have Cobb Vanth like hold them like in his like minifigure hand. They're kind of just resting on his hand. I personally don't mind that. But I know some, like, maybe people displaying the set might want the minifigure's hands actually to be holding the handlebars, maybe kids playing with it want to have the minifigure holding the handlebars. So, again, I personally don't mind it, but I definitely see the complaint there if you don't like that. But then, of course, you have these studs there, so you can take your Cobb Vanth minifigure and just sit them down like so, very simply there. Not too complicated, obviously. And you can see that, again, you just kind of like rest the handlebar on his hands there. You can have a blaster in one hand, or you could remove the blaster, have both his hands resting on the handlebars, really whatever you want to do. But I think the figure looks really great on there, and obviously you can take off the helmet if you want to, and just have the hairpiece there too. But I think Cobb Vanth, again, looks great on the speeder. Taking a look at the pod racer engine now, you can see it's very reminiscent of Anakin's pod racer from the Phantom Menace. I don't believe it's supposed to be his pod racer in universe. I think it is just supposed to be a random pod racer engine, but I could be wrong on that. But as far as I know, I believe it is just supposed to be a random one. But we'll start at the front here with these two flaps, as you can see, which can be moved. But I'm not sure they're actually supposed to be flaps. I think they are just in the show pretty stationary, but they can be moved up like that. And I feel like kids might have fun with that too, maybe like have it slow down or something. But I'm pretty sure in universe they do just stay down like that. Then you can see right here we have this little like circular piece here, which I believe is supposed to be like ventilation of some sort, maybe an air intake or something. But you do get that there, and it's using a couple pretty cool pieces there. It just makes a really cool front like head-on look of the engine there, so that's pretty cool to see. But then on the side here, you can see there's a lot of different pieces being used, like these grill pieces here, as well as these like red pieces, which you can see like they're kind of like these ones right here are kind of a stud higher than those ones, so it just adds a lot of like depth to it, which I think is pretty cool. But then you get these nice curved pieces right here, as well as like an ice skate piece being used there, which is kind of cool, as well as a pistol piece. So just a lot of really cool greebling details there. I just really like that a lot. And you can see on the other side, obviously this has the seating area for Cobb Vanth, but there's a little bit of detail here as well with kind of like the red pieces here. Once again, some curved pieces there, just miscellaneous pieces kind of throughout. At the back of the pod racer engine, you of course have the main like thrust area here, and you can see that the very back is just a stud. They didn't put any like translucent pieces or just some sort of flame piece, which I think would have been cool. But regardless, you kind of just get this like cone piece here at the end, as well as this barrel piece right here. And then you get this piece, which can actually spin. These two pieces in the back are stationary, but this one can spin. Of course, it looks the exact same for whatever angle you spin it to, but that can move if you want to do that. Then you can see there's like a clip piece there, which isn't like really for storing anything. It's kind of just for looks, but you can see there's also kind of like a smooth black piece there and just other pieces kind of connected there, as well as that nice kind of like curved piece there as well. At the very bottom of the speeder, you can see there's two inverted tiles, so it does kind of like look like it's floating a little bit when it's on like just like a desk like this, which is pretty cool. But also it does kind of move nicely here. Obviously it's not like on wheels or anything, but yeah, it kind of slides and you can push it. And of course it's pretty swooshable too. But then at the very top here, you can see that you get these nice like curved yellow pieces, some cheese slopes, as well as this piece here, which I think is supposed to be some sort of flap to like obviously slow the speeder down if it's going fast or whatever, but that's on a clip piece and that can move up or down. But you can actually take this whole piece off, and inside you get some storage here. And you can see that inside of that, there is like this little blue milk carton here with a Vanth on there, as well as like a glass of blue milk. And this is actually a brand new print, which is pretty cool. So that's nice to get. Then you get this little fruit here, which I believe is supposed to be a Maluran from Star Wars Rebels. I could be wrong on that. It might just be a random fruit or just like some sort of random food, but I'm pretty sure it is supposed to be that. But regardless, you get that there, of course, and you can just put that inside the storage. But you do also get a lot of room in there, so you could put like maybe Cobb Vanth's helmet or his jetpack. Obviously, you might have to angle it a bit differently to have the like top piece go on it with the helmet. But yeah, you get a lot of room in there. You can see it's just pretty spacious, so that is really nice to get. And normally you don't see that on speeders. Obviously, this one's kind of big, so it makes sense. But that is really cool to get there. And overall, I think the build is just really awesome here. I think just all the different details and different pieces being used. It's very like a very vibrant speeder 2 with the bright yellows and reds, and overall I just think it does look great. I think LEGO did a really great job with this build. But that's going to do it for my review on the LEGO Star Wars Cobb Vanth speeder. Overall, I think the set is really solid. I think the build is amazing, and both the figures are just top tier high quality figures, and I'm so glad we finally have Cobb Vanth in minifigure form. But 35 just feels way too high for the set. At the end of the day, you're only getting a speeder and 2 figures. Granted, the speeder and the figures are very high quality, but still 35 is just way too high. And I think had they included maybe the $10 Mandalorian speeder set within this set, 35 would have been fair. But obviously this is its own set, which I'm sure is going to sell well. But 35 again is just way too high. This feels like a $20 or $25 play set that they tacked on $10 because the figures of arm printing, I guess. I don't know. So I can't recommend the set at full price. But still, I think the set is a 9 out of 10, just really hindered by that price. So definitely worth picking up on a sell. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of the set if you plan on picking it up. And thank you so much for watching this video. I truly do appreciate it and hope you enjoyed it and have an incredible day.